So what all is involved with making a new back cover for this 1995 Maxum? Here we go with episode 1. I'm going to be completely rebuilding the engine cover, and yes, you can kind of see it in the background there, but I'm going to take you through all the steps I'm going through to get the old one off and get the new one built. Coming up. Okay, the Maxum here. As you can see, that rear deck needs to be replaced. I was horsing around with it a little bit a little while ago to see just how bad it's going to be to get that deck off of there. So I went to open this and the hinge is all pulled out and the plywood's all crumbling. But one of the gas shocks underneath is still really well attached, so I'm going to have to get up there the Phillips and take that out and probably take those strips off of there ahead of time. It just rained, so everything's real wet. We're going to get this thing off and see what we're going to need to do to cut a new piece and replace that. Okay, so the plastic strips are removed, and what those were for was to hold the rear deck cushion on, and then it snaps onto the back. The rear cushion here for the seats, I mean, this is all rotted too, and I'm going to have to do some work on that. Probably isn't going to take anything to get that off. I'm now have to replace the wood in the back of that, and the upholstery needs some work anyway. And I'm sure the bottom one's going to be just as bad. It is. I'll just be able to pop that right off, and I'll probably rebuild that. And my next thing is going to be to try to get in there and get that one gas shock off. Even though this thing is all crumbly, that gas shock is held on really well. That was a struggle, and I got a heck of a mess to clean up here now. Didn't know I had a resident in here. Hello, Mr. Toad. Guess I won't bother you for right now. Yeah, what a struggle. Got it off, got laying on a table here. Duplicating this is going to be interesting. I may have to make a cardboard template. I don't know that there's enough wood left here to get a pattern out of. I'll start taking some of this apart, see what I've got. I know I'm going to have a lot of crumbs. Already got a lot of them on the ground here. So as you can see here, there's not a whole lot left of this. And the front portion I see has a little bit of an arc to it. So what I'm going to try to do is use the carpet as somewhat of a template to cut my cardboard templates from. And then I'll try all those on the boat, because there's nothing for me to lay the cardboard on to actually try to make a template. I'll show you what I mean here. So I got that little bit there in the center where the fishing seat goes, but otherwise there's not a whole lot of supports there. So I think if I make a rough one here off of the carpet, then I can lay it up there in kind of one piece and kind of trial fit it. Was able to save part of the downward part that where the cushions go, so I have a way to duplicate that angle right there without having to do a bunch of measuring. The front part going down was made from 1/2-inch plywood. The top deck here was made from 3/4, so I'm going to have to go buy a couple sheets of plywood, it looks like. I think a good way to maybe duplicate that arc, and I'll of course fine tune it once I get it on the boat, is I cut the carpet right along where that arc is, so I can use the carpet as a template for that arc. That's going to be kind of hard to calculate. Otherwise, if I had complete plywood from end to end, I could pull a string and measure the arc in the center, but I don't have anything left down there to go off of. Okay, once I got this laid out and straightened out with the carpet side up, I could see all the edges exactly where it looped over or bent over the wood before. So I cut along all those lines, and I'm going to use that to make my template. This should be real close. And while this is drying, because it rained quite a bit last night and this morning, I am going to go to the lumber store and get some plywood. Okay, I got me some plywood here, and I laid this carpet up there as this piece is cut to kind of see how it would fit with just some pieces of cardboard underneath it. And it looks like it would be very, very, very close. So what I'm doing is I'm cutting this a 1/4 inch oversize, because this will not be covered with carpet again. I'll be putting C-deck on it. I'm going to be rounding the edges, and we'll fiberglass that, and I'll paint that black or gel coat it, one of the two. So now all I need to do is get this cut out. Okay, got a new back deck, and I'll have to say this was not a half-hour job. This took me the better part of the day. Of course, there's no hinges on the end or anything. I have to resin coat this and all that kind of good stuff, but worked out pretty good. The curvature here fits real well, matches right up with the old one, so everything there is looking good. Now I get to heft this thing off of there again so I can get some resin on it. Oh, we got a coat of resin on here. Put a little strip of CSM on that corner right there. I don't know that I actually had to have that, but it'll add just a little extra to it, kind of smooth that corner over a little bit. So we'll let this kick, and I'll do the other side. Okay, got a good heavy coat of polyester resin on the backside. This will be the bottom. I'll haven't quite decided what I'm going to put on there yet. I'll put something on there. I won't leave it as it is. It wouldn't look very good. Well, we'll let this kick, and I'm going to call it a night. Okay, bottom side of the engine cover here. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to spray a rubberized undercoating on this. This part that'll be over the top of the engine. It does have two coats of resin on it to seal it up good. I want to we'll darken it up and put a good rubberized undercoating on there. It's a product made by 3M. Boy, one can just barely made that, but I got a coat on there. Although this is going to be covered with EVA foam on top, you can't wrap EVA foam around edges. So I didn't want some bare wood showing, and I didn't want to just use white paint on wood, so it tends not to stick real well. Since I already had a good coat of resin on here, decided to spray some white gel coat on it. No, I didn't need to do the whole top, but I had some gel coat left over in the cup, so instead of throwing it away, put it on there. It'll add a little bit more weather resistance on this too until I get the EVA on there, because that may not happen until spring. Well, now to tackle the cushions. So as you can see, this one here has got some sun damage to it. I'll be replacing the fabric on that. The piping is good, the gray part of it is good, and on this burgundy cushion here, everything looks good. It's just that the wood needs to be replaced in the back. And the worst part of doing this is getting all of these staples out, because I'm going to have to pull all these staples out and then measure myself a piece of wood and then put it all back together again. And I've got some tools just for that, because I've done quite a bit of upholstery in the past. So we'll get to stripping this down and cutting some new wood. So I've got the new seat cushion backing pieces cut. A coat of resin on each side of them, actually 2 coats. Okay, I got some new back pieces cut for those cushions for the engine cover. And it's been coated with a coat of polyester vinyl ester resin on both sides. And this is a foam. I'll be using some 3M Super 77 to glue the foam back onto the backboard. Then I'll put that upholstery piece back on it. This is a lower strip, and I'll be using galvanized staples. We'll let that dry to a tack, then I'll put the two pieces together. Okay, once it's tacked up, you put this on there, and this is a you got to be right the first time kind of thing. One thing with this type of glue, when you do it on both surfaces and then let it tack and put it together, it's like contact cement. So you got to be right the first time. Let that set a minute, and then I'll get the upholstery here ready to go on it. Here's a piece that came off of there, and I pulled all the staples out, which is quite the task. So what I need to do is get this back down inside there, and this might be interesting. This is a very snug fit getting it out. And I did not take it apart at the ends where the piping is. The hopes I could just squeeze this back in there again. Oh, just found a staple I missed. Found it the hard way. Well, we'll gather up the staple gun, we'll get this here stapled down. Well, this is ugly. There's that soft spot on the floor, what's left of it. Didn't even need any tools to get it out. But I'm going to have some tools to do some trimming around where it came from. So, as you can see, got a big hole in the floor up there now. And I also noticed that some of those upper pieces on the front decking need to be replaced. So I'm going to have to do some cutting and trimming and fitting and forming and get a new piece of wood in there and get that all fiberglassed in. This might be harder than the Astroglass was. So there are a whole bunch of cardboard scraps. Cut me a cardboard template, and then cut out the new flooring for it. I've got it coated with resin on one side. I'll wait for this to kick, and then I will flip it over and do the other side. Reason I coat these with resin ahead of time is a couple reasons. One, it helps with waterproofing, but it also helps when you go to put on your top layers of CSM or roving or whatever you're going to put on top, because this wood will absorb all kinds of resin, and you can end up getting dry spots on your matting. So that's why I always resin coat everything first.